Yep, you read that right. I like Star Trek now. I know. I know. I'm wearing a Star Wars shirt, and I have the audacity to say that I like Star Trek. Listen, I fought it for a long time. In fact, I didn't even fight it. I didn't even know I was fighting it. I just love Star Wars so much. And it was always kind of a thing, right? Like Star Wars versus Star Trek, especially among the fans. And also growing up, Star Trek the Next Generation was on, okay? I'd say I was 7, 8 years old. And that was towards the end of the series. But it just bored the shit out of me, man. I wanted nothing to do with Star Trek. I knew when Star Trek came on, it was time to find something else to do. Yeah. But I don't know what happened exactly. I guess because there was no more Star Wars to watch for a while. And I was fiending for some sci-fi. Last summer, I decided to go back and watch Star Trek The Next Generation on Netflix. I watched every single episode. I believe it's like 175 episodes, something like that. Took me all summer, but I watched every single episode. And I'm hooked. I'm hooked! And this takes nothing away from my love for Star Wars. I want to drive that home, okay? Star Wars is still my all-time favorite thing, okay? Star Wars over Star Trek all day, alright? But I'm now a fan of Star Trek as well. I never thought I would say that. So I watched Star Trek The Next Generation, and then right after that I started watching the original Star Trek series. And I'm almost finished with that, and I plan to probably move on to Deep Space Nine and Voyager and all the movies. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it and what order I'm going to do it, but yeah. Plus, another advantage when it comes to Star Wars, though, is that there's so much to watch. There's so much Star Trek to watch. Like, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to watch it all before I die. There's just so much. I mean, ever since the series came back in 1987, it has constantly been there. Sometimes 2 shows at the same time. It has constantly been there. There's always been a Star Trek, a current Star Trek on TV. And movies coming out every couple years, and it just seems like there's no end to it, and there's just a lot more to watch. We don't have, 20, 30 years of Star Wars series to watch. And that sucks. I wish we did. We might get there. Might get there with the way Star Wars is picking back up now with popularity and the making of movies and series and such. But for right now, Star Trek is where it's at, man. They've got thousands of episodes to watch. 100 hours of movies to watch. Like, it gives me something to do in the Star Wars off time, okay? When it's off season for Star Wars, it's on season for Star Trek, I guess, and I'm really enjoying it, man. I fell in love with the Next Generation. When I went back, I watched the originals, and I really like those too, so I'm willing to bet I'm probably going to like all of the other series as well. So, any Star Trek fans, any Trekkers out there, I know Trekkies is the wrong word. That's like an inflammatory, derogatory term, right? My aunt taught me that when I was little. Don't call them Trekkies. They're Trekkers. So, I don't know if I'm Trekker status yet, but I really enjoy the Star Trek series now. So, I don't know. I like it, man. I especially liked Jean-Luc Picard, and I especially liked William Riker and that Next Generation storyline. So I'm kind of looking for more along those lines. But yeah, I like Star Trek now, man. Sorry, sorry to my diehard Star Wars fans who don't like Star Trek, but I like Star Trek too now. I just like everything, dude. I'm so sci-fi, fantasy, fucking. I love it all, dude. I love it all, and that's what made me kind of go back, I think, and watch the Star Trek. Is that like, dude, I like everything else that's like sci-fi, techie, futuristic, fantasy. Like, why don't I give this Star Trek thing a try? And I did, and I liked it, just like I like everything else that has to do with that genre. So there it is. That's my confession. I like Star Trek now. I guess some of you Trekkers will say, welcome to the family, and some of you Star Wars fans will say, you're a fucking traitor, but it is what it is. I like Star Trek.